All right, good evening. We've got some viewers. I'll be posting this to my story after. So, really excited to have Dan Murphy on tonight. Going to do a couple of Wednesday nights with some MEI alumni. Dan was a grad of 1988. People, 1988. It makes him older than me. So I'm gonna bring him on. There's gonna be a spot here where you can ask questions. I'm actually gonna We've agreed to a little bit of trivia. So here he comes. Let's find the man. Dan.
Hey, how are you, Jay?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, late night.
This is late. I'm kind of an early bedtime guy, actually. Now, are you actually?
Yeah,
Can't
same
be.
thing. Same thing. Well, on nights where there's not games, yes. Try to go to bed early. 7-year-old child, so get her down, and after that, try to start settling in myself. But I'm an early morning guy myself. It's a little bit different the last 6 weeks because there's not as much to get up for, but usually a very early riser during the regular schedule.
Okay, so I am also I'm up at 5 usually. That's my
Yeah.
regular. So we could live stream at 5 next time.
I don't think we get any viewers. Not that we might not get any anyway, but the 5 a.m. would not be it. Hey,
Okay,
Mike.
so I have some questions for you, but first, do you remember me in high school?
I do remember you in high school. And
Because
you
I
know
was
what?
younger.
Yeah, I know. Way to make me feel bad. But I do. It's so long ago now that I found myself like going through old yearbooks to try to see some faces that as soon as you see them, you remember them. But I missed the 20-year reunion because of a wedding, and I missed my 30-year reunion because of work. So my last two chances to kind of catch up with people that I don't still stay in contact with, I wasn't able to do it. So maybe there'll be a 40th one that I can make, or can jam in a 35th maybe in
Yeah.
a couple years.
Well, the MEI reunions continue. I've been to some like 50 plus, so there's hope.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
let's do some trivia. And you're
Okay.
looking great, by the way. Seriously, like
It's kind of like
you're
the
older,
COVID.
but
This
you
is the
got
COVID comb over right now because I can't get a haircut.
you look awesome, man. Oh, yeah. Okay, from 1987, because I was your grade 11, 12 year,
I'm going to be
right?
so bad at this, just so you know this.
Like how many of the top 10 TV shows from that year do you
Oh,
think you could name?
the top 10 TV shows in 1987.
Yeah, let's.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. The number
Okay.
one show, the lead character and creator is now in prison.
Okay. So Harvey Weinstein created a show back then.
He's more black, more dark white. Anyone else?
Who?
Right?
I
The
was going to say,
Cosby Show.
what's that? Oh, Cosby Show. Okay. I was
Yeah,
going to say like Hill Street Blues.
yeah, no,
Or,
number one. Hey, so let's see. Hill Street Blues. Nope. Number two, A Different World. Do you remember that?
don't remember that show.
Cheers. Number
Oh
three.
yeah, remember that. And that would have
Yeah.
been around that time. Um,
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls. I didn't watch much of that. Like when was like 90210? Was that prior to that?
That's later. Yeah,
That's later.
yeah.
Okay. See, that tells you.
But Growing Pains. You
Yep.
probably,
Remember it.
yeah.
Didn't watch it, but remember it.
Who's the boss?
Remember it, but didn't watch it.
Alf.
Remember it, but
The
didn't watch it.
puppet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
I totally remember that show.
Okay, I'm going to give you the top songs and give you a couple of the titles. See if you can name the artist.
Okay.
This is fun, man. It's fun
All
for
right.
me. Are you having fun?
Yeah, just because I haven't got one right yet.
Okay. Okay. Live in February 14th, 1987. This was the number one song. Living on a Prayer by
Bon Jovi.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay. This is another good one. I think it's a Canadian band. April 4th, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. They also had We Built This City.
Oh, Jefferson Starship.
Starship, yeah. Starship.
Okay.
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Here I Go Again on My
White
Home.
Snake.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
There you go.
That was the number one hit.
Yeah.
Bad.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the biggest song of the year was Faith by You Gotta
Uh,
Have Faith.
who's
Faith
since
in Faith.
passed.
Yeah.
From Wham.
Yes.
George Michael.
Yeah, dig right on,
And the
man.
other guy on Wham was Andrew Ridgely or something. Wrigley.
Okay, okay. See, this is this
That would have
funny?
been
Like you start
that would
going
have been
back.
back like early high school days. I remember like in 1984 in grade 8, it was kind of the two big albums at the time were like Van Halen 1984 and Culture Club, and you kind of split
Oh,
into one way. Like you either went the Van Halen way or the Culture Club way, and I think I went the Van Halen way.
get big movies and
Okay.
guess. See if we can remember any of them. Okay, I'll give you some hints. One had to do with a baby.
Boss Baby?
Three
No, not
men.
Boss Baby. That's the recent one.
Three.
Three Men and a Baby.
Yeah,
Sorry.
number one movie in your
Okay.
grade 11, 12 year. Uh, Second one, Fatal Attraction. You and I wouldn't have been allowed to watch that one
No.
probably in high school.
No.
I'm still not really allowed to watch. Okay. Eddie Murphy movie, the second one that made him huge.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah,
2.
part 2. Yep. Good Morning Vietnam,
Okay.
Moonstruck.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox, The Secret of My Success.
I remember that. I
Good
remember
Canadian.
that one.
Yeah.
I remember like he had a bunch of movies you kind of forget about, like was it Doc Holliday?
Yeah, Doc Hollywood.
Doc Hollywood. Doc Holiday
Yeah.
was in Tombstone.
And those like Doc Hollywood, they'd have just one scene that you couldn't show it to your kids now. Like we've pulled up some of these movies and you're like,
Okay.
oh, it's such a good movie. And there's like a one scene that you just can't continue. Anyway, Lethal Weapon.
Okay, yeah. Mel
This
Gibson.
is, yeah. And then The Witches of Eastwick. So
I remember that one too.
Here's your category. Sports in 1987.
Okay.
U.S. Open tennis. Who would have won that one?
In 1987, that probably was Pete Sampras, but it might have been Andre Agassi.
It was Yvonne Lendl.
Lendl, really? Okay. So
yeah.
Before.
And the women's champion?
In 87?
Well, greatest of all time.
What's that? Well, let's just go with Navratilova.
Yeah. Ding, okay. Ding, ding. I've been dying to ask you this one. Who won the Stanley Cup in 1987?
That would have been the...
Here, I've got a hint for you.
Pittsburgh Penguins or the... Oh, the Oilers. No wonder I got that out of my head.
NBA.
Oh, that was Messier's first without Gretz.
NBA.
87. Let's go with the Detroit Pistons.
Lakers. Pistons. There's a good team. Is that Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah. Have you been watching the Last Dance on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah, I just started it today.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Monday. So, were you a Jordan fan and all that? I mean,
I was a big basketball fan in high school. I liked Jordan. I was a Dominique Wilkins fan, and I was more of a fan of the Sonics. So through those years, I liked Sean Kemp, and then into Gary Payton later on.
Xavier McDaniels.
Xavier, X-Man. Yeah,
I had his,
the Statue of Liberty dunk.
I had his spot-built shoes in grade 11 or 12. So, let's see. Okay, so shifting to Canucks trivia now. So out of the 80s.
Well, let's I'll get the stuff that I could get that's recent.
Okay, so this is all-time stuff.
Oh my God. Okay. this is gonna just embarrass me further, but let's do it.
That's okay. MEI people, they love you no matter what. So, okay. Of the 11 all-time point getters in Canucks history, there are 3 countries represented.
Of the all-time. Okay, well, Sweden.
Yeah, big time.
Sweden's all over it. I'm trying to think too. Well, Canada.
Yep.
Be Linden and Smeal, and Sweden, Canada.
One guy
outside of that. Russia.
Yeah, and we can all name that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Of the top 3, they're all Swedes. Number 1,
Henrik,
number 2,
Daniel,
number 3.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top Canadian.
Well, Linden.
Yeah, 733. So Henrik, 1,070. Daniel, 1,041. Naslund, 756. Top Russian.
Burry.
Yeah. Top American.
Is it Kessler?
Yeah. Yep. See, superstar.
Okay.
The only current player in the top 50.
The only current player in the top 50 would have to be Bo Horvat.
Yeah, 275.
Okay.
Most goals all time.
Oh, but wait. How many career points does Edler have? I don't think he has that many, but he must be somewhere closing in on there.
Edler. He career points. Hold on.
Did he just hit 200 this year, maybe? I'm trying to think. He had a
He
milestone.
is at 401 points.
Okay, so that we're talking forwards, not because.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
It's
Okay,
Edler,
thank you.
Edler. Yeah, okay.
Thank you for the correction, even though I did the homework. See, that's why you're the Sportsnet guy.
Yeah.
This
So
is
I knew he
awesome.
had. I think he became the highest scoring defenseman in franchise history this year.
Most goals.
Most goals scored are. It's not. Is it Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 393. Most assists.
Henrik.
Yeah, most power play goals.
Most power play goals. Let's go with. I want to kind of say Daniel, but
Yeah,
okay.
you're right.
Yeah.
Most shorthanded goals.
That would be either Burry or Burrows.
No.
Neither.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you got
Burry.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now this is the last one in this guy of this of the trivia here. So, most penalty minutes, top 5. This is interesting.
Most in franchise history.
Franchise history.
Top 5. Well, Gino.
Yeah. 2,127 minutes in 444 games.
Brashear.
Nope.
Get in there. Okay, let's think here.
All the top 4, they're all old school, like back when everyone was in the penalty box, I think. So.
Okay, let's see here. Who was racking up the minutes in the 90s?
Okay, Abbey sports fans got Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 5th. Tiger Williams is 5th.
Okay, so we got 3 more in there. And they're all older players.
Yeah, not Bertuzzi. Britain 5 just guessed Bertuzzi.
No, it's like I'm trying to think of like it's not. It wasn't Hunter and Toski. They weren't there long enough.
I think they're all wearing the skate.
Yeah.
No, not Bertuzzi, guys.
No.
Mrs. Trunquata, good guess.
Garth Butcher.
Oh, Butcher, Mr. Thiessen, the high school principal, he guessed it, and just at the same time as you. Garth Butcher, number 2.
Craig Cox. Is that Mike Cato saying that? No.
Is Mike Cato on here? Nice,
Like
Mike.
him, yeah.
So the 2, you want me to give the other 2?
Yeah.
Stan Smeal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Number 3, and Harold Sneps.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people like back in Smeal's days, he was leading the team in points and penalty minutes. He was a good player.
Yeah, he was
Really.
And I was like a kid. You'd be like grade 5 or something.
Yeah, back like in 80, like 79, I think was his rookie year, 80. So.
Okay, so we all had bags of hockey cards.
Yeah.
You played knockdowns?
I tried to find some, but I mean, I was one of those kids that put them in the spokes year bike wheels, so they were all ruined no matter what.
Okay, awesome. Tell us about high school. You're an MEI alum.
I am an MEI alum.
Before you do that, I've got a little primer for you here.
Okay.
Let's see if some of these photos ring a bell.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the team at MEI here gave me. This is my high school yearbook. So that's what I look like.
Yeah.
I was like, one of these kids is not like the other kids, right? This is yours, and I'm impressed with just the wisdom, Dan. Look at the statement there.
That's coming from someone that didn't get very good grades.
Success is not in being the best, but in doing your best.
That's when you couldn't be the best. You just had to do your best. I think that was it.
Okay, so here's some of your people, your yearbook class.
There. Yeah, there's John Newell was there and Claire Newell. And,
yeah, you know what? I'm wondering if that's a bit of the connection for us because I was good buddies with Steve.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Of the people I keep in contact the most, I see Mike Cato. He's at the hockey games, but John Newell, Claire Newell, I still keep in touch. Jeff Clausen, Rob Koslowski a little bit, more social media.
Yeah, Jeff Clausen and I serve on the Stillwood board. We just had a meeting. So.
Yeah, and Jeff and Randy Friesen a while ago, but yeah.
So these pants are these Converse? These got to be the red Converse.
Yeah, or pants. Was that like at the start of like kind of when rugby pants are coming around, like are those cuffed at the ankle? Whatever, they're looking pretty good. And is that a Walkman on my waist?
I think you've got seriously the portable Walkman there.
Oh my goodness!
Ready for a hike? Who's this here? Because that's an outstanding statement.
That's Koslowski.
Is that Rob?
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see who else. So here's another one. This is your actual yearbook. So Mike's on our board now.
Yeah,
Michael Redicott.
Yeah.
Peg Peters.
Yeah, Randy. I haven't talked to him for a while. I saw him for a few times about 10 years ago when he was doing some kind of TV work. There's Mike Cato. There's
Mike,
David
Becky,
Jones.
Becky's a teacher.
Yeah.
You know what?
Wayne Friesen. I still keep in contact with him a little bit on social media.
The commitment to doing your hair back then, hey, like it's not a fair, like it's not a balanced approach. Like this guy right here, he woke up and just showed up for the grad photo, but the lady beside him there, like that's a lot of time.
Yeah, the
right?
Jody born above. Yeah, there's a lot of teasing of the hair going on
there. Anyways, tell us a little bit about high school. I couldn't find you in this one, but there is one kid behind. There's John, and I think trumpet player. I played in Raz with this guy right here.
I can't see it.
And then there's a head there, and I think that might be you.
Oh, maybe. I really enjoyed high school, mainly because, a lot of my really good friends went to Yale and Abbey. I kind of followed my sister to MEI, and, just opened up a whole bunch of new friendships. Obviously, it was different being a bit of a private school. The sports were fantastic. The education was great. There was a time in before grade 10 where I thought about going to Abbey to play football, and I decided to stay. And I'm really happy I did, because I missed so long ago, but there are a lot of great memories on that. I guess we call it a campus, but up there off Downs Road. Although the memories of running up and down those hill and PE are not that fun.
Who's your principal?
Oh my God, good question. I know my favorite teacher of all time was Arnold Dick, because of the connections. Was it? Did he retire that year? Was there?
Arnie? No, Arnie was there.
No. I think the principal though was Ref.
Oh, principal.
In '88.
Mr. Friesen?
Maybe. Was it his last year?
It could have been. But then Leo Regier and Wally. Someone's saying Wally Sawatsky.
No, Wally. Yeah, Wally.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think he taught after that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I should know, because I was in the principal's office a few times.
Seriously?
Maybe I just blacked out. I don't think about it anymore.
What teachers do you remember, or what those kinds of experiences? Basketball games were huge back then, I think.
Yeah, and I only played till grade 10. And I remember then, because of grade 11, they lost in the provincial final. So that's when Prentice Lenz played his first year. And I think that was what Paul and Phil Chafee and Koslowski lost to Richmond. Ron Putzi and Gord Tate, I think, were a couple players. So, for me, phys ed, and then on the tennis team, and there was a golf team back then. It was more of a golf club, I think. It wasn't really a team. You played at Ledgeview a couple tournaments, but overall, I think it was just the mixture of education and athletics that really struck a chord with me. And I think all the students were very well brought up, conscientious, hard workers, always striving to do something. So I think it was a really good environment to be in.
Mike Cato there. Those Abbey games were epic. As a younger guy, I remember Mike in the stands with like blue food dye.
Yeah, face paint.
And the tongue. Like he'd have the face paint, and then the tongue would just be blue.
Yeah, Randy Peters would do stuff like that too. No question.
Yeah, that's right.
He was the class president, and I want to say that maybe Brad Dewick was a valedictorian, but we're going back 30-some years here. But that sounds right to me.
Peg Peters?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was our president.
Yeah. And like in high school, did you have a sense? Sports was an interest, but what you're doing now is very much like people, and you have to be able to connect, right? Did you have that interest then?
I think I was always a pretty social person. I had a huge interest in sports. I was a bigger basketball fan in high school than hockey, and I actually worked the Grizzlies for a year before I went on to the Canucks as a host. But at that point, leaving high school, I didn't really know exactly. Police officer was in the back of my mind, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I just kind of wanted to keep going until I figured out what niche it would be.
So tell us about the post high school path. Did you go to school? And
I went to University of Ottawa. So I kind of wanted to go far enough away from home where you couldn't come home on the weekend, right? So you were going away to school, and So I did that. Followed my sister again. She went to Ottawa, and she's now an emerge doctor in Comox.
Mm,
So working the front lines right now. So
awesome.
I went to University of Ottawa, and then during the summers, I would come back home, and the local Rogers community TV station was one of the first to get a TV mobile. And a friend of mine that went to Yale, his brother worked there. So he said, if you guys ever want to do some of these mobiles, um, why don't we give it a whirl? So we started doing some high school basketball games, and I started doing some Muay Thai fights with Mauro Ranallo, who's now, one of the biggest, combat sports announcers in the world.
Yeah.
Um, um, so yeah, I just started doing some of that stuff. We actually even had like a rock video show that we did, just goofed around. And so that's kind of when I kind of decided that maybe sports and television would be something I'd want to do. So I applied to BCIT right after university. And I was a little late the first time, so I only got into radio, so I waited and then went to broadcast. And then that was done in '95, and I got lucky enough to be a practicum at Sports Page. And at the time, Sports Page was a powerhouse. It was Shorthouse, Don Taylor, Dave Randorf, Paul Carson, and then Randorf left, Barry McDonald came, Sean McCormick after that, Blake Price. Like, it was Craig McEwen. It was just a really, really cool environment. And so I was working there 8 hours a week. I was still bartending in Abbotsford at Cheers, which I think is gone.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of worked my way up from part-time to full-time hours. And then the kind of thing that a lot of people don't know is that in '99, I still hadn't been on the air at Sports Page. I went from a production assistant to an associate producer to a writer to a producer. So I went the gamut except for not hosting. So I thought I was going to be a producer. So I got hired at the Golf Channel in Florida to produce Golf Central. And as I was getting my immigration papers, I got hired by Sportsnet to be a reporter. So I stayed. So that was in '99.
So are you pretty like, are you a golfer and into that scene too?
Yeah, I worked at Ledgeview when I came back from university. So I was working at Ledgeview with Adam Hadam's dad in the day, back when James Lepp was just coming up, kind of before Adam and Nick Taylor's time. They were just little kids. So yeah, I worked at Ledgeview for 2 or 3 summers. And yeah, so and then I decided to stay with reporting. I went from just a reporter to a host of the Grizzlies to the host of the Canucks in '01, '02, and never have really left.
Wow. So in that, I guess let's just shift back. We'll come back to your career, but family. What's tell us about your family?
Yeah, so got married in 2009. We just had our 10-year and had baby girl Marlo. She's up here somewhere. She just turned 7 in December. So we have one child. We're on our 3rd dog. Her name Peach. Yeah, Peach. And live in North Vancouver. I lived downtown, Yaletown, Kitts, and then bought a house in North Vancouver in 2008 and have been here ever since. Moved once in North Vancouver, but currently live here. My wife is an executive with Cactus Restaurant Group.
Okay.
And yeah, just love it. I mean, for the trying times right now, being in North Vancouver, there's so much open space, trails, running, where you can do your social distancing and still be outside. So that's been a real blessing where we live for the last month and a half.
Beautiful. And do you find like imagine the family life it's totally unique, like compared to what I do.
Yeah.
As an educator, right? My holidays are with my kids. So weekends I'm off with the kids and that kind of stuff. How do you balance that?
It can be tough, especially for my wife who works full time. I'm basically on the road upwards of 120 days a year after playoffs. But once that ends, so if I'm done the first week of June, if I don't work the Cup final, I'm basically, aside from a couple of weeks here and there, I'm done until training camp. Mm. So I kind of get the whole summer off too. But it's certainly by the end of the season. And then if the Canucks don't make the playoffs, which they haven't the last how many years, then there's no home games in the playoffs and just gone straight. So that is, without a doubt, tough. But, I have a lot of nights where I'm home. I have a lot of weekend days. I can take my kid to school. A lot of times I can come home for lunch. So there's a lot of positives to it aside from being away all that time.
Awesome. Okay, so career, like the career paths. I mean, now that you're in this position, like what would be some of your highlights? Like what would you, and we can take some questions here. So
Yeah.
folks watching, if you have a question for Dan, pop it in there.
I
And
mean, I think career highlights. So for 4 or 5 years, I covered the Canadian golf terms, Canadian Open, Women's Open, Senior, as a course commentator. So I worked the 2000 Canadian Open when Tiger won at Glen Abbey. I did Sergio Garcia's group that weekend, so I wasn't with Tiger's group, but that
wow.
was fun to be there. Maybe this might be recency bias, but the Sedin's last home game was fantastic, and I was right on the ice for it, right for the end. So all their laps and their salutes and the fans. That was a real fun moment to be a part of. I mean, the 2011 Cup run was exhausting, but there was a lot of fun covering that right up to the very bitter end. There was a lot of, and then I do some play-by-play in the summers for Rogers Cup tennis. So I got to call a match with doubles match with Djokovic, like some of the big names. I called. I've done some Chapeau matches, some Auger Aliassime matches right before they really kind of got big, and they were on court too. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of a cross section of things that have been fun.
So when was the Tiger? Was it 2000? You said
2000. Yeah.
And is it like you can't tell on TV? Like, is it as nuts as?
Yeah, they're just. I mean, he was another level, but that shot he hit on 18 to win the tournament out of the bunker, 212 yards, I think it was, his 6-iron was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, but if you haven't watched, it's like any sport. Until you see it live, you have no idea just how good they are.
And the frenzy around it, like
around him, yes. I mean, he was on another level. I interviewed Michael Jordan when the Bulls came to town. Now that the Last Dance is on, I remember
you did
that
not.
Martin game. Yeah.
You interviewed Michael Jordan.
I've interviewed Tiger, Gretzky. I'm just trying to think of some of the other sports, but yeah.
And now I have interviewed you.
Yes.
Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a couple of questions. Favorite Canuck to interview and why, by Caitlin Reimer.
Kevin Bieksa. I mean, he kind of got there just after I started. He always likes to have fun. He doesn't give you the stock answer. He'll go back at you. He'll make fun of you. You can make fun of him. I would say he's one. Then some other ones. Shane O'Brien was always a lot of fun. I'd say of the current guys, I like interviewing Troy Stetcher because I think he's a really good interview. I don't think he gives you any stock answers. So of the current ones, but yeah, there's been a few over the years that have been a lot of fun, but I think BX is probably at the top.
Okay, his speech, like that was mind blowing.
Yeah, it was crazy. And not just his. Like, how about Burroughs when he had the Ring of Honor? His English is second language, and he spoke without notes for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that 10 to 15, that's pretty incredible to go up there and be able to do that in front of 18,500 people.
Okay, Regan Hebert. Reagan, I think, sorry. Do you ever hear anything about NBA coming back to Vancouver? I'm sure Seattle would be first.
I think that it would have to be done if whoever owns the Canucks, if it's the Aquilinis and the building, they would have to buy it. It would make if these NBA teams are going for $2 billion, you'd have to own the arena and have that revenue. Otherwise, there's no chance you can do it. So unless it's the Aquilinis now or the future owners, excuse me, of the Canucks, I can't see it happening unless the current owners want to bring it in.
Principal Mark Thiessen of our high school, does John Garrett really eat as unhealthy as it sounds on the air?
As unhealthy, yes. It does. It's like traveling with, I think my 7-year-old eats better now, to be honest. But he once went, and the people that are familiar with him, in the playoffs one year before my time, he went 21 days in the playoffs without using utensils. So you can just kind of figure out what kind of food he was eating. Pizza, fries, fingers.
Oh, 3 weeks. That's gagged.
Parker doesn't believe me. It was at the Richmond practice facility with Jordan after a practice, and 2 cameramen almost got into a fight after because they were trying to get the shot with him. And Michael Jordan said to them, if you're going to fight, you best get out of my way. So I was there, Parker.
How tall are you?
6'1".
Okay, and he's 6'6"?
Yeah.
And just like, was it, does he dominate the space? Or
not as much. I mean, some guys, back in those days, you're interviewing big country. Shaq was the biggest human I ever saw. So there was a lot of big humans, but Jordan was, he was larger than life at that point.
Does Cheech really eat all those burgers? Sports fan?
It's not with me though. So this is the other secret. Shorthouse doesn't have a Twitter account, so he sends the pictures to me and I post them of those two guys going for their burgers at lunch. So
Okay. Okay, we got Mrs. Tranquata is asking, do you think the current Canucks team could beat the 2010-2011 Canucks team?
I would say not yet. I just think that 2011 team, you've got two Hall of Famers on the top line. You had a Selke winner that year centering the second line. You had some really good intangible pieces they picked up in Higgins and Lapierre at the deadline. Your defense there was no real number one, but you probably could say you had three number twos at that time. Han, Hughes, Edler, maybe Bieksa. And the goaltending, you know, had us warts in the final, but was excellent. So I would say this team doesn't have the depth as of yet, but it certainly seems to have the high-end skill. And Quinn Hughes will likely turn out to be the best defenseman they've ever had.
Is it, what is that? Besser?
Besser? Brock Besser. Yes, he is.
Yeah, okay.
Super humble. Yeah, totally humble. One of those guys is kind of like you think it's too good to be true, but it's not. So he's had some tough moments in the upbringing with his father has Parkinson's, has cancer now, lost a best friend in a car accident. He said he had to grow up real quick, and I think it changed him a bit, but he's a really nice kid.
Okay, from a husband of Mrs. Tranquata, how far would you say the current roster is from achieving real success? That's a good question.
I'd probably say 2 to 3 years. They've got some, big contracts paid to lower end guys on the fourth line. They've got dead money in Luongo, I guess Louis Eriksson. So I think they need to get some of those contracts off the books, and they need a little more defensive depth. But when you have Niels Höglander coming, Vasily Podkolzin is coming in a year, those are two really high-end prospects. You just got to get some defense, and then hope that one of Demko and or Markstrom is the real deal when the window is at its absolute peak.
Have you talked to BX or Kessler lately? They've got their show going.
I don't talk to Kessler much. I saw him at the Sedin's retirement, but I would say that I'm in contact with BX at least once a week.
Like, do you become friends with these guys? Like,
I used to say friendly, but not friends. Now, if you were there, like BX was there, I knew him for 20 years, so he became a friend in the end, especially after he left. There's some other guys I knew beforehand, like Sean Pronger. So he was a friend before he got there. Nolan Baumgartner, Jason Strudel. I knew these guys beforehand, so they were already friends. But certainly, you do have some relationships that probably go a little bit, when they're all said and done, past just a working relationship. But there's not a ton, and especially now. I mean, I'm as old as their dads, so
yeah, that's true,
right? I started at Sportsnet the same month that Quinn Hughes was born.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Ray Ferrero good at golf. Has he ever beaten you?
Ray's beaten me. Yes. He's good. He's not nearly as angry as he used to be on the golf course. He just lives a couple blocks away from me. Really, really top end guy. But I think he's about a 7 or 8 cap. So I'm probably around the same now. So we have some good matches when we play.
So someone's asking about the Bertuzzi story when he called into the back of the plane for the big interview.
I'm trying to remember this one. I think this was heading back to Colorado for the first time after March 8th, 2004. And he hadn't talked about it. And finally he got on the plane and said, okay, I'll do it. So I had to record it on, I can't remember the device. The radio broadcaster did the same. And that's, I think, when he spoke for the first time about going back to Colorado, because it was just always no comment. So I think that's the story that Abbey sports fans talking about. So
you walked through that season, hey, of Canucks. Like that was a tough time.
Was that one? I had to see. I was working as a reporter when McSorley and Brashear. So I had a couple of court trials I had to go to.
Oh wow!
So
okay, let's make this the last one, and then I've got a couple more here. But we got another one pop up. What are the chances of finishing the season off?
I would say, well, I mean, a truncated season, it could happen. I think they really want to try and do it. Just, I think there's financial reasons for players and ownership. I don't know how you can do it. I would like to think you can with different foresights maybe, but you'd have to have them in for 2 weeks ahead of time doing training camp, quarantine. You'd have to test all team staff, hotel staff. So logistically, I think it would be tough. I'd love to see it happen. I don't know if it will. If you told me right now we could start next season on time, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Even that might be tough.
It's kind of like schools. We're all kind of in that sort of mode too.
Yeah.
Any good? Are you enjoying this, or is this getting tiring? Is this
No.
Okay. Any good tortellas, tortorella? Yeah,
well, the one, I mean, obviously the one that everybody knows is when he went down the hallway, right? After Bob Hartley, after the first intermission. So when the Blue Jackets were in town last year, the Canucks had always been working on putting up doors in the hallway behind the dressing rooms. And so maybe when he finally went down the hallway and got down the dressing room of the other team, they put them up. So when he was here last season, he turned to me, he said, are these the walls they put up because of me? And I said, I think so. He goes, maybe I should sign it. So he was, you know what, one-on-one, that guy, he'd tell you anything and you'd believe it. I got along with John very well. I don't think he was the right fit for that team at that time. But we bonded over mainly dogs. The guy's a huge animal lover. And always wanted to talk dogs and show pictures of dogs. So that was always good with me.
Did you say manly dogs?
No, but he has pit bulls. But no, he has pit bulls. He does a lot of rescue dogs, rescue horses, everything. So he's
okay. I have a miniature Dachshund. That's what I'm asking, which I just love her, but
yeah,
she probably doesn't fit that category. So okay, so if Peter Hay is that? Oh, Preston Hay. Okay, so Peter Hay's our hockey academy manager, and also does our advancement stuff. So his son is saying, if the playoffs started today, who wins a 7-game series, Oilers or Canucks?
Okay, first off, I'd have a real tough time betting against Connor McDavid, like putting a lot of money against him, and Draisaitl for that matter. Now, I wouldn't have much problem putting money against their defense and goaltending. I know Koskinen had his moments this year; he looked good, but I just don't trust their defense that much. They're healthier now. So I would say in this instance, in 7 games, it would go 7, but I think the Canucks goaltending is far superior, so I would go with that. But it's a coin flip. I wouldn't be putting much money on any of those.
Okay.
To me, I honestly think that, and I think you could throw the Flames in there as well. To be honest,
yeah, no,
all those teams on the Pacific have their awards.
But so entertaining it would be, right?
Yeah. Well, I think so.
Because you got skaters and
yeah.
And almost the leaky defense allows for like 80s hockey a bit more.
Yeah, no question.
Back and forth.
Yeah, no question. The goaltenders probably hate it, but
hey, if you were to pick, this is my question. If you were to pick a first line and a goalie to run with on your team of the current NHL, center, left wing, right wing, 2 defensemen and a goalie.
Can I move a centerman to the wing?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want because you're.
Well, I'll just say the 3 players that I find. Well, I'm going to say McDavid, McKinnon, and I'm going to give this year, who I think should win the Hart this year, and I'm not going to say he's one of the best things, but Panarin in New York. He had nobody. And the guy, I think he should be final 3 of the Hart. On defense, give me Hedman and Seth Jones.
Who's your goalie?
And goal, give me Hellebuck. I'll just go again, recency bias, but he was the best goaltender by a mile this year. So that's my this year team.
Fun. Okay, what's your? Here's my last question. What's your advice you'd give to our current grads? And actually, I'm gonna just throw in one more after that about MEI, but just your advice for current grads.
Well, first off, I feel bad for the current grads that are not going to get to finish the way that everybody does. But just think of it this way: the story you get to tell later on about your grad year. And I would say, just this is from my experience. If you don't know what you want to do yet, don't freak out. I had no idea after high school. I just knew I'm going to keep pursuing my education, because odds are a lot of times you go into university and it's a bigger crowd and you find people that might be more aligned with your interests and what you might want to do. So if you don't know, don't panic. You're still super young, and just figure out what you want to do and then go for it. And I would highly, I would suggest keep going to school if you can keep furthering your education somehow, because odds are you're going to find something that you like during that path. And so I didn't have a full-time job until I was 29. I worked, but until I really got into the job I wanted, I was 29. So it might take a little time, but go for it.
So patience.
Yeah.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Well, what would you advice would you give me and the leadership at MEI and our teacher? Like for a school like MEI, which you've been through,
Yeah.
I'd take straight up, your opinion. Like, forget
Yeah.
who's listening. Thanks for listening. But what would you say? Like, because we're a Christian school.
Yeah.
There's the academics, athletics, arts, all this stuff. But what would you say? What?
I would say embrace the uniqueness, right? You're a different school than anybody in the region, right? I just say, really be proud of what you've, especially what has grown into. I mean, I see what it was when I left in '88. Now you look at it, it's like all the schools and how big the compound is there. So I would say, yeah, be proud to be a little bit different. Don't be afraid to say you're a little bit different, and this is what our values are, and this is why we are MEI.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Hi, just to close off, I'm going to do this with any alum that I interview here, but is there something I could pray for you online here before we sign off?
I know. I just say for me and other people at this time, it's just try to keep your mind right. It can be a
Mm,
very anxious time for people,
mm.
especially when especially people that are already suffering from anxiety, but with no real end date in sight. There's no certainty. I just say pray for some good mental health,
Yeah.
and that this thing will be sooner rather than later. And just to really embrace your family at this time, because you got a lot of home time and a really good chance to get to some good quality time with family.
Awesome. Can I pray for you?
Sure.
Okay, let's pray. And everyone with us, join in. Father, thank you so much for Dan. I thank you for just this incredible role you've given him. Um, Thank you for the influence that he carries and just the way he's willing to spread just encouragement, even to his old high school as he's done tonight. Father, I pray for him, for his wife, for his beautiful daughter, and for Peach, that you would protect this family. And during this time, that there would be peace in their home, that you protect the marriage and each relationship. I pray, Lord, that you would just give them real comfort as we all kind of wait, and for all of us as we all wait for this to pass. Just pray for your strength as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, God bless you, brother. It's so fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. So I couldn't
Yeah.
get any of the pop trivia. It's
Well,
terrible.
if we ever get to this again, I'm going to grow some hair. So,
Maybe I'll cut mine.
yeah. All right. We'll sign off. Thanks everyone for
Take care.
following along.
Thanks
Okay.
for tuning in.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.